Hey, what's up everybody? In this video we are going to be discussing the box toppers from Lord of the Rings, the new upcoming MTG set from the Universes Beyond initiative from Magic the Gathering, where they take epic products and cross them over with MTG. This stream cut came from last Wednesday. If you want to come catch a stream, come hang out on Mondays or Wednesdays at 6:30 Pacific Standard Time, and you can come chat with us live. Most of you are not subscribed, so if you do find these videos informative or if you find them entertaining, do consider subscribing. It really goes a long way and does a lot more than just sign you up for the next video. Let's talk about some box toppers from Lord of the Rings.
Okay, got it. So Buzz said they're showing 15 this week and they're showing 15 next week for a total of 30 box toppers. That sounds right. Now that you're saying that, I'm vaguely remembering that from the reveal in which we saw Elijah Woods and got demonetized.
All right, Buzz Fuzz, absolute legend, and then Matt is also saying 30 total.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to see more cards. We're going to probably see a couple more big hits. And the spot where you can find box toppers. For anybody who doesn't know, this is going to be when you buy a box. So we'll look at the exact spot that you can find these.
Yeah, I'll pull these up. Hang on.
This kind of, I would guess, in my opinion, this is Wizards of the Coast justifying their increased price point on these products. You know, this isn't like buying a collector box of March of the Machine Aftermath, which also has serialized cards. It's more expensive than that. You know, a March of the Machine Aftermath box is probably right around 200 bucks for a collector box. Or not Aftermath, March of the Machine, just the regular set. Collector is probably right around $200.
Okay, Jake.
So if you think about that, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to swap over so we can actually start about it. You're making good points. It'll be good in the cut. Realms and Relics box toppers, Jake. We have seen 15 so far, and we will see another 15. Where can we find these? That is question number one.
Collector boosters in non-foil and surge foil. A non-foil Realms and Relics card will show up in approximately 31% of collector boosters, while a surge foil Realms and Relics card will show up in slightly under 1% of collector boosters.
Excellent. So you will get one in a single card box topper pack that will be bent down past the boosters and bent over the top of the boosters. You'll get one of those in each set, draft, and collector booster display. And then additionally, 31% of collector boosters will have a non-foil Realm or Relic card, and 1% of collector boosters will have surge foil Realms and Relics cards. We've seen Great Henge and Cavern of Souls. Basically, these are that, what do you call that treatment? Godzilla treatment, we'll say. Where
this kind of reminds me a little bit of Zendikar Rising, where they did the box toppers there, right, and then they put the expedition lands. I think they handled it the same way. The draft boxes got an expedition box topper, and then the collector booster box actually got two. I think the collector booster boxes got two that were seeded, but then in those collector packs you could actually find them, and sometimes they would appear in foil, and then sometimes they would appear in non-foil. But now this is further on in the variant era, so now it's a little bit more complex than that. We have surge foils, and then we have what was the other one? A non-foil Realms and Relic card, which is going to be attractive too.
Just over a third of the time, well, sorry, just under a third of the time, you'll be getting one in collector booster packs.
So I'm thinking 3 to 5. Like, you might have a standout collector box that gets maybe 5, maybe even 6 of them. Who knows?
But you get one in each set, draft, and collector. So you are guaranteed one in the collector booster, minus the odds of pulling them in the... You are guaranteed one in the collector booster box, minus the possibility of pulling them in collector boosters themselves. And then they also are offering this surge foil version of these in 1%.
1%. That's pretty...
So the surge foil versions of these are going to be pretty expensive. And we've seen the first 15. We get the next 15 next week. If it is after next week, make sure you go check out the other video where we break down the next 15. But just kind of shooting through these, Jake, there are ones that are hella good hits, And there are Bojuka Bog as well.
I mean, Bojuka Bog is a great card, and for people that want to bling out their Bojuka Bog, this is a way to do it. But I will say this, if the power level is equitable next week when we see the next 15 of these, I would expect some more spicy hits. We got the Great Henge, which people have been crying for a reprint pretty much since it was printed.
$60 right now for the cheapest one of these that you can get. Yeah. And you know, like, I love this OG art. Don't get me wrong at all. Very cool art. Adam Paquette nailed this piece. But dude, having a Great Henge that says the party tree on it.
Yeah.
This has to be the seminal version. It
does all the stuff.
It is the party tree.
Oh, Matt. Yeah, that's a good Bojuka Bog.
Cloudstone Curio.
Yeah, that's a good reprint as well.
This is a scarcity play. Ravnica is the only place we've seen this.
And Kaladesh Inventions, but that's hardly a reprint.
Right. Yeah, that I was unclear. I meant in earnest. Like, this is an awesome version.
Right.
$200. The rarity of pulling something like this is insane. Now you've got Elisar the Elfstone, if I'm putting the right emphasis on the right syllable, as another version of Cloudstone Curio. Ensnaring Bridge, this card was more expensive. But
it was when it was
Masters.
a big, yeah, it was a big modern playable card. I think it still has some modern application, but
yeah, I mean, look at all the printings.
It's just been reprinted a lot,
but it's still a $15-16 card straight up. So it's sort of one of your middle hits, not huge. Ozolith Scarcity hasn't been reprinted since Ikoria.
It got a lot of printings in Ikoria though, so. This is like if it had been just printed, and that's crazy because that's a rare. So if this card had been printed,
well, it got a lot in that. So don't count this one, y'all, because this is the MTGO version. But your pre-release stamp, your like prize pack stamp that has the Walker symbol on it, and then your extended and your standard.
Regular, yeah. And then it would have had a foil versions of those, but yes.
Right. But basically, it was just these two versions. This was right before the variant era where they shoved all of the Godzilla stuff into that set and they were like, maybe that's enough, let's just let it ride. But now that seems like such simpler times.
You're right, yeah, to have just an extended art and a regular.
Right, exactly. Rings of Bright Hearth, this is one of your lower end hits. Single digits for these, $5-6 for Rings of the Bright Hearth. Shadow Spear, one of your $20 hits. And I mean, again, don't get me wrong.
This was a big card from that set.
Yang Hao Han's take on Shadow Spear here, killer. Morgul Knife, stabbing into Frodo.
That's pretty cool too.
That is a sweet looking version of Shadow Spear, and it kind of the way that it's being depicted in this art by Campbell White, it is very flavorful. Like, they were just like, oh my god, Shadow Spear, we've got the perfect card for the Morgul Knife. We're gonna get a card that says
Shadow Spear
loses hexproof and indestructible. Hell yeah, dude. Perfect. This is one of my favorites, probably one of the biggest hits that we're gonna see on this list. $75.
Biggest hit so far that we've seen is the Ancient Tomb reprint, and it just speaks to the power of fast mana, man. Having a land that comes out, and especially in Commander, you know, that 2 life, that 2 damage that it does to you, that is not that big a drawback if it means you getting a big threat out earlier. So yeah, it's a very strong card.
I had no idea Ancient Tomb was on the list.
It started as an uncommon. Think about that. Yeah.
This is the one I have.
Yep. The UMA version. Yep.
Because at the time, that reprint in UMA, you can see like it was the first time in earnest we had gotten a reprint of it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, dude.
So yeah, it was like,
because in Expedition version, it was like, oh my god, yeah, it's great if you can get the Expedition version, but
now Balin's Tomb, dude, like, it's the same thing with Morgul Knife. For me, I want this version. This is awesome. Ancient Tomb as Balin's Tomb Inspired. Perfecto. Bojuka Bog is the lowest hit that we have seen on this list so far. I mean, Bojuka Bog is like less than $1. This is a 50 cents card. Now, I'm not saying that this version of it's going to be 50 cents. All we're doing is looking at the lowest possible price that you can pick them up now, much like our secret layer videos. We are just comparing the price of this card to its cheapest obtainable near mint version.
And do keep in mind, it's really nice that these are going to be appearing in the collector booster boxes and not just as box toppers, as like one-ofs in boxes that are sealed, because you're going to have a big adjustment in price on a lot of these, and a lot of them are going to be cheap. If they appear in just under a third of collector booster packs with as much of that product that's being opened, and do keep in mind it's a more expensive product, so the adjustments might not be as harsh on these cards, but they will go through adjustments.
I mean,
that's for sure.
Bojuka Bog as the Barrow Downs is pretty sweet. I will say, outside of Lord of the Rings lore, this art on a Bojuka Bog is pretty sweet. When you look at your options for Bojuka Bog, you're really gonna hope, I'm gonna have to hope for you that you love Howard Lyon's piece here, because this is the only piece of art that they have literally ever used for Bojuka Bog.
Wow. They were like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Dude, they were like, I'm just really feeling Lion's piece. I feel like Howard knocked it out of the park. I did pick up some extra singles of the Brothers War Commander decks into Dominaria Remastered, and then my personal just trying to target of Retro Frame cards. I was like, I'm going to pick up a couple extra copies of Retro Bojuka Bog. I didn't even know that I could have done that in Time Spiral Remastered.
Yeah.
But what can you do? New version of Bojuka Bog, but it's seriously, value-wise, the worst hit that we've seen so far. Besieger Who Shelters All, $20 land. Good in the right deck.
Surge foil of any of these is going to be nuts.
The multiplier on that Surge foil. Dude, imagine getting a Surge foil Cavern of Souls. Look at this card. Perpetually a $55 card. It is the most well-kept and maintained single price in any any single that exists in Magic the Gathering. But this one, Cavern of Souls, is the Paths of the Dead. Again, this is just such a home run choice here. It's home run art. Logan Feliciano. What else have we done here?
That Cavern, dude. Cavern has mythic protection. It's really exactly like you're talking about. They keep it at mythic. It's cool. It's a really good card. It's very good. I like it even in like Commander Voltron. You know, it's like when you want to make sure your commander doesn't ever get countered.
Sure.
Just run it. It constantly gets reprinted, but it keeps that price point.
It's a really good inclusion for this list. Very interesting inclusion.
This is a good effect to have on a land. It's also a very scarce card.
I'm pretty sure I sold my Deserted Temple when it was like $12 or $15. I was like, well, surely this will be reprinted at some point.
Like a good example of where this would be good is you've just activated Cabal Coffers for a ton, and now you're going to Deserted Temple to untap Cabal Coffers so you can use it again.
Gaia's Cradle.
Right, exactly. Stuff like that.
Homeward Path, interestingly, this is up to like an $18 card, and it's because it's only been in 3 Commander precons, and so it's got that like Commander precon scarcity to it, even though we've seen 3 versions of it that were widely available, and then we've got a Judge promo version as well. This is for a cube version. I think this is a MTGO.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, these are very thoughtful hits, very calculated, because when you are looking at this slot, you're not seeing anything that's like a terrible card. You're seeing stuff that's like a low money hit, but you are seeing like some AAA stuff like Cavern of Souls. What was the other big hit? Ancient Tomb. There's some other ones.
Yep.
But you're not seeing anything that's
Wasteland,
like completely
$20-$25 card.
I mean, this is a great card. This is one of my favorite cards.
Plus it's Valley of Gorgoroth, and that's just tight.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool as well. I think this is calculated, and this slot exists and is as pushed as it is to make sure that people are in some way happy and getting something memorable
right
from their box opening experience when they're paying a premium, a much more expensive amount than they're used to paying. And I guess that's for the Lord of the Rings IP, but then also a chance to pull one of these big hits here.
Now look, y'all have got to do me a favor and resist the FOMO on these. I'm seeing it in chat, and it was the next point I want to make.
Blue says I'm FOMOing in.
Don't FOMO in, don't FOMO out. FOMO near, FOMO around.
Enjoy the FOMO, but don't concede to it.
Don't FOMO on without consent.
Yes, definitely that. Definitely that. Do not do that without consent.
But I want to play Party Tree for the rest of my life. And so personally, I will be FOMOing all over the Party Tree.
Well, are you going to be purchasing any of this? What are your thoughts on this?
Bro, singles as always. How do I engage with
singles.
every set? I wait 3 months to when nobody's looking, and I go to TCG Player and I say, I wonder if Retro Vampiric Tutor, I wonder if everybody's forgotten about that card yet. And I go, oh, yep, looks like it's kind of leveling out. Yep. Okay.
Getting close.
Yep. Now's a good time to go and buy that because nobody's thought about Dominaria Remastered in 5 years. That's how I engage with every...
It defies reason. Okay, so I kind of see what you're saying. So, okay, so the box toppers for you kind of feel the same way as me. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a fool's errand to try and collect all of them, but when they start to bottom out, maybe you'll pick up a couple of them if they're cheap. Maybe there's going to be things that we don't expect that are standouts. Maybe some of them are cheaper than we expect, and so you might be buying a card that you didn't expect to buy and that kind of thing. I always use Double Masters 2022 as like my North Star of like FOMO, because I saw what everybody went in on and the textured foils and how that didn't pan out. And even though there weren't serialized cards in there, I just saw how so much of that stuff raced to the bottom. And yeah, I think the serialized thing, it's cool if they don't do it a lot, but we're seeing this year that Wizards of the Coast is going really hard on the serialized push. I don't know how much money can be pumped into the serialized bubble. I don't know how much you know, a bunch of cards getting like a 500 of 500 treatment. And I know it's different in Lord of the Rings. It's been consistent in March of the Machine and Brothers War, but the serialized thing, I don't know, like
it's every set. That's every set or every other set from now on, bro. That's just happening. You know, I think that we'll have a nice little pullback, nice little reset around the time of Wilds of Eldraine. But I mean, why would they slow down at this point? It doesn't make any sense to.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting to see serialized cards that are consistently selling, you know, the low end ones for like $200 to $300.
The box toppers themselves. This is the first 15 box toppers. We've got the 15 other ones next week, so we'll be able to look at this set of cards within this set of cards as a whole and judge them. But overall, for me, Jake, and I want your opinion on this, I think this is a positive. There are good choices. There are mostly good hits in here. You know, I'm not going to be super excited if I pull Bajuka Bog or Yavimaya Cradle of Growth, but lots of these hits in here, I'm just like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool card to include.
Yeah, it's cool. And for people that do want to collect all of these, if they want the thematic set of box toppers that are all Lord of the Rings skinned and they really want that, that's going to be it's going to be a fun set to chase. But for me, you know, I hope to get lucky. Maybe I'll buy a box of this set. I don't know yet how I want to engage with the product, but I do think I am going to buy something from Lord of the Rings.
In foil, you will find them one in a single card pack in every set, draft, and collector booster box. Every single box of this.
You'll be getting one single box topper.
We'll have one
in a single card pack. Yes.
And they are, I know that they have rarity here of Mythic, but they have said, and they say right here, players have an equal chance of opening any one of the 30 cards from a box topper booster. Additionally, they'll be in collector boosters in non-foil and surge foil. So you won't find them in general, just regular foil here, traditional foil like they call it. You'll find them in non-foil and surge foil. Non-foil 31% of the time, and surge foil 1% of the time. If I remember correctly, the Hitotsugu, what was the percentages on the Hitotsugu? I'm just trying to compare how rare those surge foils will be. Because, you know, I mean, surge foil, Cavern of Souls, surge foil, Ancient Tomb, Balin's Tomb. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay,
yeah,
ay.
so you have to get lucky enough to get the 1% chance of finding a surge foil, and then it's a dice roll of 30 cards to see which one you get. And yeah, if you get the Bejukabog, I still think that'll probably end up being like a $50 surge foil.
I was actually going to call 50 for no reason.
Card.
Yeah, 50 was what was in my head.
It's extremely popular card. It's going to be a very difficult, narrow chance of finding it because the surge foils of these are going to be so rare. Most of them are going to be good and desirable either way. But the big hits, if you do find the Cavern or the Ancient Tomb or, you know, stuff like the Great Henge, yeah, the Party Tree, then yeah, you're going to be looking at something that probably pays for half or more of whatever your buy-in is, especially for collectors that are looking for the most pimp versions of cards for Commander. And then the X factor that this entire set is going to carry, which is the IP crossover. You're going to have people that are interested in Lord of the Rings that are coming to MTG for Lord of the Rings. We don't know what percentage of people that is going to be, but some people are going to do it. There are going to be people that are interested in MTG because of this set, and so they're going to be collecting alongside other collectors. So yeah, it's an interesting slot. This is probably the most interesting slot so far. I know all the serialized stuff is interesting, but this is something that we can more easily depend on, and it gives us a nice little indicator of where Wizards of the Coast is putting some of the value.
Let us know in the comments which of these is your favorite so far, and which cards that need reprints, they got to be lands or artifacts, don't forget, that you think we might see in the other 15.
Speculating. I love it.